Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Jason from BC Edge, and today I want to introduce you to my new machine and give you a tour and show you some of the mods that I've done on it so far. Alright, so this is the Tormach 1100 MX. So far I've only done a few things with it, but I've already put in a few mods as well. Some of the upgrades on the machine that I got that that don't come standard. As you can see, I got the 12 pocket automatic tool changer, got flood coolant, got the tool height setter, and the control console. Also got a 4th axis that I'll be installing somewhat soon. This is the micro arc. It's the smallest one they've got, but possibly the quicker and more accurate one. This machine also has the full enclosure. So I got the flood coolant system and also the oil skimmer, and this pretty much just runs all the time even when the machine is off and helps get all the junk off the top of the coolant as it's floating around in there. Seems to be working pretty well so far, all the oil especially. It's pretty gross. Oh yeah, and there's the automatic oiler, so I don't have to pump oil into it every time. Keeps everything all lubricated. One of the things I didn't opt for is the door lockout switch. I guess there's a switch that you can put in here that will lock the doors when the machine is running. I don't know. I didn't think that was really necessary. And especially if I want to be able to open things up and film anything while it's going, I can. One of the first things is I got a touch probe, but you don't really have a place to put it if you want to keep it connected all the time. So I got a 3D printed tool changer piece that I just bolted up to this control console collar, and this works pretty well. It keeps it out of the way except for when you need it, and you can stow it back and it stays safe even no matter which way you have this thing turned. I got the design from it off of GrabCAD and just had it 3D printed out of nylon material. Just drilled and tapped a couple holes, and it's working great. I like that. Another mod that I've done is for a washdown nozzle. You can see this here. I've got through one of the panels, I drilled a small hole and tied it into the coolant, the flood coolant system for the machine. And it's just got it's just a hose that you would use for like a washer or something like that, and connected to a little hose for a like a garden hose. It works okay. It could use some more pressure. Let me just show you real quick. I'm gonna turn that off. This gotta be on, which it is. We turn the coolant on. That's where you can wash down all the chips and debris machining, stuff kind of gets everywhere. You need to be able to wash it off, especially off your vise and your work surfaces, tool setters and things like that. So this works pretty well. Does a pretty good job getting things down into the chip tray. I also put in a little tool rack for a speed vise handle and a hammer, mirror, some of the normal things that you'll use when you're doing some normal machining, just to keep it right here on the side. Along with a air system so that I can have a air nozzle for blowing off parts. This one is a Sylvant. I forget which model it is exactly, but it's really nice so far. The other mods that I did is for the flood coolant nozzles. I don't know if you can tell, but this one is actually a little bit lower than it would normally be. You can see those little spacers. I just had to find some bolts and some spacers to fit so that it would sit a little bit lower so that I could get the coolant to the tool in the way that I wanted it. Also, I put in an extension on one of these to get coolant up to the top of the tool. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me get a tool put in there. Alright, so here's a pretty typical tool that you would use. It's just an ER20 collet that's been slightly modified just to get better clearance for the coolant. And that's why I modified the coolant nozzles so that the coolant would actually get closer to the root of basically the highest point where the tool can cut. And that's what this little spacer helps do, so that when you are pointing at the tool, the coolant, instead of being up here, you'll end up hitting the side of the collet nut instead of actually getting to the tool. So if you bring it down, the coolant has a better chance of getting to the top of the cutter while you can still keep the cutter short in length. And let's see if I can turn the coolant on without splashing all over myself here. So you can see this one is in the edge, but just barely. And the other two are set up for some longer tools. Flood coolant on this works pretty well. Could probably use a stronger pump, but it's adequate so far. Screen changer works pretty well. So there's initial setup. Let's see, what else have I done to the machine? I did put in a tool storage rack. This is from Santa Cruz Electronics, and it holds 3 trays of 12 tools each. It's just made for this machine, for the 1100MX that uses the BT30 style tool holders. So I've got it kind of set up where there's a rack for aluminum tools, a rack for titanium and possibly steel, and another rack here for the composites. And obviously this one doesn't have as many because these tools are very expensive. So So I've only machined a few things with this new machine so far. One of them, this is one of the first projects I tried, is this challenge coin. And as you can see, it did a pretty good job, especially with that high RPM, using these really small tools for the engraving and the finishing. This is just a bronze material that's it's been all machined out, leaving the raised section. And this side I've got a couple of inlays for some of the materials that that I'm using to make one of the other things that I'll show you in a second. So that turned out real nice. Alright. So what am I going to use this machine to make? You might ask. Well, I'm going to use it to make these. This is my knife. I call it the interface. There's a little sneak peek. This is one of the ones I've been carrying for a while. I will have another video going more in depth on this, so you can see. This was one that I made on my old machine. Turned out pretty good, but I should be able to get even better parts out of this. So there it is. I'll get more into that as we go. Alright, so that's it for now. Just wanted to show you some of the mods that I've done on the machine, and there's going to be more to come. There's always room for improvement, and hopefully I'll be able to bring you along and show you all the things that I'm doing. Anyway, thanks for joining, and hope you liked, and we'll see you on the next video.